Today we are making chicken Marengo.
So the traditional recipe uses a whole 3.5 pound chicken that you cut up, but instead of doing that, I took one whole chicken breast that I cut up into 4 pieces with the skin, and here I have some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I have about 8 of them, I think. All in all, it's about 3.5 pounds of chicken. And I put salt and pepper on them directly. I like to do that when I'm going to be dredging my chicken because I can control the spice that's actually on my meat. And then here I have probably 3/4 cups of flour with 2 tablespoons of tarragon and salt and pepper, just a little bit of salt and pepper. Now the tarragon, the original recipe calls for only a teaspoon of it, and if you don't like it, you can certainly use less or skip it, but I think that the tarragon really gives this dish its unique flavor. If you've never tried tarragon, it's kind of like anise or fennel or a little bit licoricey, but not quite. So if you like those kind of flavors, then that's what tarragon kind of tastes like. So I like it, and I'm adding more than the recipe originally calls for. So I'm going to whisk this together, and then I'm going to dredge the chicken in here. Now to dredge the chicken, all that means is to just roll it around in the flour, and you want to shake off any excess. And this remaining flour you want to save because you're going to add this to your sauce to thicken it later on. And now I'm going to take this chicken that I've dredged, and I'm going to brown it in a skillet with some oil. I'm going to do it in 2 batches probably, and I'll show you that when I do it. Now you want to do this in either a Dutch oven or some kind of casserole dish that you have a lid for, because we're going to fry the chicken and then we're going to make the sauce and we're going to put it in the oven to finish cooking. I'm not going to talk while this is frying because I hate to talk over the sizzling, but I'm going to take this chicken and throw it in this oil, not too much, and fry it on all sides until it's golden, and then I'm going to remove it to a clean plate, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I removed the chicken once it was golden brown on all sides, and I put it in a larger Dutch oven because I think this one's going to get a little too crowded, but I'm going to save the drippings and the flour that's at the bottom of the pan. What I did was I did strain off a little bit of the oil, and I added 2 tablespoons of butter once I removed the chicken. And now I'm going to turn it back on because I turned it off. I didn't want the flour to burn. And now when this warms up, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of the leftover flour mixture that I was dredging the chicken in. I had a little bit more. I don't think it's going to need that much. So once this gets warm, yeah, it's warm. I'm going to whisk this in. I'm going to let it brown a little bit, right? And then I'm going to add some white wine, some dry white wine. I'm going to use a pinot grigio, but you can use a sauvignon blanc or any dry white wine. Don't use cooking wine. Don't ever use the stuff that they sell in the supermarkets. Use real wine, please. Doesn't have to be expensive, but good enough to drink. I think I forgot to mention that before you start anything, you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. I always forget to mention it, and I often forget to preheat my oven. Anyway, so now that I've cooked my flour for a little bit, I'm going to add a good cup, maybe 1.5 cups of the white wine. And you want to whisk quickly, get all the lumps out, and cook it for a little bit. So you should have a nice, smooth, velvety sauce, and I probably ended up adding 2 cups of wine. I wanted to cover my chicken, so now I'm going to take this sauce and pour it over my chicken in my larger Dutch oven. But if you had a Dutch oven that was large enough, you could just put your chicken back in here. So I've poured the sauce over the chicken, and now I'm going to add 8 ounces of mushrooms. I cut them in half. You could leave them whole. You can cut them any size you like, but I prefer them a little bit chunkier. And then I have a large can of tomatoes, just whole. You could cut them up if you want, but why do the extra work? I don't think it's necessary. I'm not sure how many ounces are in here. Just a large can. And I'm going to add garlic. Now the original recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic, and that basically almost killed me with laughter because I don't know what 1 clove of garlic means. I like garlic. I use a lot of garlic, so I've got about that much in here. And you can add as much or as little as you like. I like garlic, so I'm going to add a lot. Now I'm going to stir this in a little bit, cover it, and then put it in the oven for about 40 minutes. I just want to mention that when you're browning it in the skillet, the chicken, don't worry about cooking it fully through because it will be cooking more in the oven. So you don't have to cook the chicken, just brown it on the outside. And I'm going to cover it up and put it in the oven. Okay guys, so here it is, our chicken Marengo or poulet Marengo. I'm serving it with some rice and a fried egg. Traditionally it's served with a fried egg and also either shrimp or crayfish. I'm not doing the shrimp today, but here it is, and I hope you enjoy.